Hi, my name is Jackie, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make your own homemade truffles. This is a pretty easy recipe that anyone can do at home, but we are going to be working over a hot stove top to heat up our cream and melt our chocolate. So if you're under the age of 12, you probably want to have an adult present just in case of accidents or burns. Remember to have fun with this recipe, and let's get right into it.
So the first thing that we want to do is wash our hands because hygiene is always important. And then we are going to start to assemble our ingredients. So the first and most important ingredient is our chocolate chips. You're going to need about 2 pounds total of chocolate chips for this recipe. Today I'm using bittersweet and semi-sweet, but you could also use milk chocolate, white chocolate, or whatever your heart desires. You are also going to need a cup of heavy cream, 2 tablespoons of salted butter, any extracts or flavorings that you would like. This is optional, but I chose to add raspberry extract to my truffles. There is no set amount for any extract, you just kind of have to go by taste. And then the last thing is any garnish that you would like. So I will be using sprinkles, but you could also use chopped nuts or nonpareils, anything that you want. And then as for tools, you are going to need a sheet tray with some parchment paper lined on top, a pot for heating up our cream and using as a double broiler, a metal bowl or another heat-resistant bowl such as glass, a whisk, a rubber spatula, a cookie scoop or a portion scoop. This can be any size depending on what size you would like your truffles to be. An offset spatula. If you don't have one of these, you can also use a fork. And a thermometer. This will be for getting the temperature of your cream when you are heating it up. And you can also use it to check the temperature of your chocolate just to make sure that it's not close to being burned. And then I prefer to use a scale. This makes it a lot more accurate when you're measuring out your chocolate chips. Okay, so now we're going to start with our recipe. We're going to start with the truffle filling. So I am measuring out a pound of chocolate chips into our metal bowl. Now I'm using a combination of the semi-sweet chocolate chips and the bittersweet chocolate chips. There was only 12 ounces in the semi-sweet, so I'm compensating for that with 4 ounces of the bittersweet. And now we are going to scald our cream, and this is basically just heating up the cream to 160 degrees. So we're just going to pour in our cup of cream to our pot and just wait for it to come to 160 degrees. It might take a little while, but make sure you keep a close eye on it because once it starts to heat up, it will heat up fast. And if you're not careful, it will boil over, and that is not fun for anyone. And so our cream has come to 160 degrees, so we're just going to pour that all over our chocolate chips. And you want to let it sit for about a minute before you whisk it together. This just helps the chocolate chips come up to the temperature of the cream and melt a little bit easier. Now, sometimes this doesn't always work and you still end up with lumps in your chocolate, which we do not want in our truffles. But luckily, there is an easy fix to this. All you have to do is rinse out the pot that your heavy cream was in, fill it up with an inch or 2 of water. It doesn't have to be precise. And then we're going to put our bowl of lumpy chocolate over top of that and use this as a double broiler. If you have an actual double broiler, you could use that instead, but I find that this technique works just as well and you don't have to go buying any special equipment. So we're just going to stir that. If the metal bowl becomes too hot, you can use a oven mitt or a towel, and we're just going to stir that until it is no longer lumpy. And you should have something like this. It's nice and smooth and shiny, and there are absolutely no lumps, which is what we want. Now we are just going to add our 2 tablespoons of butter right into that and stir it until the butter is all melted in. And then you can also add in your extracts. Here I'm just adding in 1 teaspoon of my raspberry extract, and then I'm just going to taste it, and I ended up adding about 1.5 teaspoons altogether. Again, this is very much to taste, so make sure you don't add too much in all at once because you won't be able to take it out if you don't like it. So then we're all done with our truffle filling, and we're just going to pop that right in the refrigerator until it's all set and nice and firm. So here we have the truffle filling right out of the refrigerator. It took about 20 minutes for mine to set up completely. So we're just going to take that scoop that I showed earlier, and you're going to scoop out your truffle mixture into balls onto your parchment sheet. Sometimes the release mechanism on the scoop doesn't always work, so you might need some help with an extra spoon or a fork just to pop those out. You're going to want to do this until all of your truffle filling has been portioned out. And here we have our portioned truffles. Now they won't be perfect right out of the scoop, so we're just going to use our hand to shape them into better circles and then put them back on the parchment paper. And again, you're going to want to do this with all of your truffles. And then they should look something like this. So we're just going to put those back in the refrigerator so that they can harden a little bit more before we coat them in chocolate. Now, while we wait for our truffles to completely harden up, we're going to start melting our chocolate for the coating. I am using about 1 pound of the bittersweet chocolate, but again, you can use whatever chocolate you want, and we're just going to keep a close eye on that, just stirring it until it is nice and smooth. Here I have taken our refrigerated truffles out of the refrigerator, and we're going to use that angled spatula to pick up our truffles out of the chocolate mixture, and you just want to tap it on the side of the metal bowl to let some of the excess chocolate drip off of the sides of the truffle. And we're going to place it right back on the parchment paper. Then if you want to add sprinkles or whatever topping that you have, you probably want to do it pretty quickly just to make sure that it sticks to your chocolate while it's still melted. I am using red and pink sprinkles because of the raspberry truffles, but you can easily use whatever color and combination that you like. Now, if you don't tap off enough excess chocolate, when you put it back on the parchment paper, you're going to have what we call feet, and that is when the excess chocolate pools at the bottom of your truffle, and it's just not a very nice look. So here we have our finished truffles. You're probably going to want to refrigerate them for just a little bit after you put the coating on, just to make sure that it's set up and it's not going to melt when you go to pick up your truffles. And when you're all done, they should look something like this, and they will taste just as good as they look, I promise. This recipe really gives them a nice soft center and a crunchy chocolate coating.
Okay, so that's it. I hope you had fun making this. Remember, you could totally make this recipe your own just by switching out different chocolates and flavorings. I hope you enjoyed these truffles as much as I do, and I'll see you next time. Bye!